Hello everyone. In this video, we're just going to take an asset from our Unreal environment. We're going to bring that into Omniverse. We're going to shatter it and then bring it back into our Unreal scene to help decorate maybe some of these nooks and crannies. You can imagine in an environment like this, there might be some broken pottery lying around, or, just we're looking for a very quick way to break things, make them messier, make them dirtier, make them a little bit more interesting, a little bit more realistic. And what's our workflow in order to achieve that, very quickly? So we're just going to take, let's take one of these pots. We'll take this pot right here. We'll export it, we'll fracture it, and we'll bring it back in. And I'm going to show us two ways to do this outside of in Omniverse Composer. The other part might be in a separate video. We're going to end up scripting something that's going to make our lives a little bit easier. But for now, I'm going to show you the manual method, and then we'll be able to expand on that. So let's get started. So I'll just go ahead and find the original model for this asset, which was from Megascans. There we go. And then I will just save that out to a USD on our Omniverse Nucleus server. So here we are in USD Composer. We'll bring in the clay planter onto a new layer, and we'll set up a physics scene really quick. We'll add a ground plane. We'll create an actual physics scene, which will store our physics data. We'll organize our hierarchy a little bit. Then we'll just get rid of the ground plane that came along with the new scene template. Finally, we'll add a rigid body attribute to our clay planter. Rigid body with collider presets. With that assigned, our physics scene should be all set up. So if we bring this up, simulate, perfect. For blast, we just need to make sure that we have the blast extension enabled. There you go. And then you should see this tab in your UI. I'm not going to cover all the details of blast in this video, but very quickly we can select how many fractures we want in the object, and we can adjust the scale, the impact, depending on scale of your scene. You might want to adjust this number. Now, if we hit simulate, this should drop and shatter. Perfect. At this point, if we tried to export this geometry into a new USD and bring it into Unreal, it won't actually work. It will only bring in the newly created faces of the geometry. And really quick, here's an example of what that looks like, where we can see this fractured vase, but none of the existing original mesh is there. It's just the newly created faces. So finding a functioning workflow took some experimentation and a couple of conversations with the Omniverse team at NVIDIA, but Simply Chuntable really helped get this working, so shout out and thanks for all the hard work. This is the manual workflow, and then we'll automate this process with some Python scripting, but that'll be in another video. So what we'll need to do is grab the extension merge mesh tool. We'll just need to make sure that that's enabled. This is a very simple tool, but a good one. We'll filter for all of the meshes in our scene. We'll select those. Single mesh with geom subsets. Merge selected. And this will create a new piece of geo for us. This can be exported and brought into Unreal, and all the face data will be maintained. So let's go ahead and save this out to a new USD. We'll just overwrite this, move our mesh into the appropriate USD, and click Save, and then head back to Unreal. So we're back in our Unreal scene. Let's bring in our shattered clay planter. So we can locate it on our Omniverse server. We had named it Clay Planter Shatter. Right click, import USD. And here we are. So it'll open in a new default unsaved level, but let's just pop back over to our environment. We don't need to save these. Okay. So let's find our imports, the planter, mesh, and here's our static mesh. Set that to whatever scale we like. We can assign a material. This is hard to tell with this particular asset, but the UV maps and everything are maintained. So if it was textured and shattered, that would still translate through and the pattern would be in the correct spot. But there you go. That's an easy way to round trip an asset from Unreal Engine into Omniverse, shatter it naturally, and then bring it back in to just, again, add more detail and life to our scenes inside the engine. Okay, thanks a lot.